Hey, what's up everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so in between having been done with my workout and still, of course, as always, waiting for food, because that's what we do. We work out, we eat, we do art, we do content, we just keep it going. All of these different things. What am I paying attention to today? Well, the NBA is back giving us content because it's media day. And of course, this is one of the most controversial media days. This is the most controversial media day ever. I don't think there's ever been one because there's too much going on that has nothing to do with basketball. You got the Suns organization and they're addressing their situation with their scandal. You got the Boston Celtics situation, they're addressing their scandal. You got the Nets situation and they're addressing their situation with players wanting out. It's not much of a scandal. You got the Lakers and their situation as they're addressing the awkwardness with Russell Westbrook being on tap. It's probably more going on, but those are the teams that I've been paying attention to. And I can honestly say we're about to have a very, very interesting season because of it. I don't know how that's going to translate to basketball, but just listening to the tone of each and every one of those situations, you just said, okay, it goes from bad to really bad to catastrophic to the worst thing possible. Like you just jump around to see these situations. You just see them progressively worse than the other, and you just understand that there's levels to all of this as it pertains to what really matters. When you're, as a Laker fan, we're considering how many problems we have. The Nets considering the issues they've had, and then you look over at Phoenix, you see their issues, and you look at Boston, it's like we're not them. It's like, oh man, yeah. Can we start playing basketball? If anything, that's what I gotta say. From listening to different people, you know, I can just take excerpts from what I heard off the top of the dome. You know me. That's pretty much all I'm gonna give you is paraphrases and just memories of what I've seen. But I took a lot, you know. If I want to address what I saw from KD, you know, KD just was trying to his very best to express the fact that, first of all, the narrative out there that I've been believing, he is not with it. He's not saying that's not how it goes. He is not having anything to do with Kyrie Irving's contract. He has nothing to do with how that's situation is. He said that he said from the jump, everybody needs to have their own relationship with one another because we all have different things that we need to come down to, our bottom lines, etc. We all have our own individual situations, so that relationship needs to be established between player and organization, and Kevin Durant made it clear that he wanted nothing to do with that and will have nothing to do with that. So that's the stance he's taking in regards to Kyrie's free agency and everything that has to do with him. It has nothing at all to do with his trade demand, he says. So that's it. You know, I'm gonna report that and use that as a tea leaf. That's it, man. That's all there is to it. And listening to Kevin Durant, also, he was making it clear that he wanted to come back because he believed that something was incomplete. They know he wanted to come back and finish a job at the end of the day. Kyrie said the same thing. They had incomplete business, you know. They all see the situation as something that they can get past, and they believe in the talent that they have. KD said that he liked the moves that they made in the offseason. That kind of changed his mind, you know. He sat down and had some conversations with Steve Nash, and they were on the same page about what needed to change. The things that made him say he wanted Steve Nash out were the same things that Steve Nash basically said that he wanted done. And you know what? He felt that the guys involved knew him. So there's no need for certain types of banter from us, because the people behind the scenes for the last 3 years know him. The fans, Brooklyn, the organization, they all understand his personality, and they understand what he was thinking when he made the decision he made, and they understand what he's thinking now. So that's basically what he's saying to us. He changed his mind. Simple as that. He liked the moves they made. That's what he's saying. He was concerned about where his career was headed with this team. Looking at how the future looks at the time, he was wondering about the unit that was coming back, and you know, he expressed those concerns, and he felt like they made the changes necessary to make him feel a lot better about the situation. So that's his position. He's ready to get started. Put it all behind him. I listened to Ben Simmons as well, and I like what Ben Simmons had to say. Of course, I've listened to his interview with JJ Redick as well, and No, Ben just seems like he's ready to get started. I like what he said in regards to I've done the work in regards to my mental health, and I deserve the opportunity to play. You know, I've earned the right to give this a shot, and I like that. It shows me that he's put in the effort and he understands what it is that he's dealing with. He had to earn the right. He had to get himself the help. He needed to take the steps necessary to get himself in a confident position to want to play basketball again, and that's what it was about for him. With all the stuff that was going on, the personal stuff that was going on in his life that he didn't want to talk about, coupled with the fact that he didn't feel like he was getting, support from the fans and the organization, and all of it just started to just become too much for him. And at the end of the day, he needed to step away from basketball mentally, and that was it. You know, he needed to get back to what mattered to him and figure out, what was necessary to sort through. And get back out there. And so he feels like he started that process, did the work, and is now earned that right. So, I think it's just about his body now. Does he feel like his body's going to react well to the work, to what basically has happened with his back? And he seems like he's confident that he's ready to get back out there and play. So, all things that go with Ben 10. I thought he handled his presser very well. Of course, a couple of those guys were trying to press buttons, trying to see if they could get him, to elaborate a little more. I thought one of the guys were a little snotty to him, but at the end of the day, I thought he handled it very well. He shut all that down. He essentially said that he's ready to get back out there, and that's it. And listening to Kyrie Irving, his point of view was very, very to the point in regards to his situation. Had nothing to do with KD's situation. It was kind of awkward to him that, he opted in around the same time that KD opted out. But all in all, he trusted his brother. He understood that his brother's situation, whatever it was, he could, he just give him the benefit of the doubt in regards to the situation, and they're ready to go forward. So it's one of those situations where I don't know that whole lot of communication has been had, but they're back on the same page, ready to move forward, and that's what they're telling us, and I think that's what benefits them to tell us. That's what I think in regards to the point of view that they're both taking in regards to it. It's like, I don't have anything to do with that. My relationship with the Nets is as is, and I'm ready to get back to work. So I did hear KD say that he has a place in Los Angeles because he likes being around the best players in the world. And so that was an interesting statement, but I understood what he was saying. The Lakers and the Clippers having both Bron and Kawhi here, you get the hell of a lot of competition just being in this atmosphere. But I think it spoke volumes, and I think it would be picked apart. And more or less, Kyrie, if I'm choosing my words correctly, because with him, you got to choose your words correctly, because he uses his words specifically. Not the easiest person to quote, but what I took from what he was trying to express was that he just would like to move forward with the Brooklyn Nets. He's had conversations that help him feel good about where they are right now, and if anything, it's just time to get started. It's there was a time for all the different stuff that happened in the off season. It happened, and now he understands that the vaccine was something that people held against him for not taking, and he didn't really appreciate that. It wasn't just about him speaking for those who didn't have a voice. There was more going into his decision, and he wanted that expressed as well. So what I took from it was just guys had an off season that taught them a lot. I think guys went into the off season with a certain mindset. Things transpired, and they learned so much about how transactions are going, how much it costs to move guys, how much they are valued to the organization. I think that's also a part of it for Kevin Durant when he realized how hard of a bargain they were drawing for him in trade. It made him understand just how much the Brooklyn Nets value him now. And I think that resonated to a degree. He liked the fact that they kept the price tag high and didn't just relinquish him. It made him feel wanted, made him, it helped him understand that they understood who he is. So I thought that was something that resonated as well. And the Brooklyn Nets are ready to get started. All three of the guys seem like they're in a space where they understand that things were awkward. They understand that they're going to be asked some questions that they can't really give us everything on. But at the end of the day, they're going to start the season with the Brooklyn Nets and give it a shot. They like the moves that were made. They believe that Steve Nash has heard them. They believe Sean Marks has heard them. And let's give it a shot. I think that's what they're saying. Let's start it up. Let's see what happens here. So I think that's fair. You guys know where I stand in regards to the situation. Nothing changes for me as a Laker fan, but all in all, I do think that they're optimistic that they can start the basketball season just fine without all the noise and without worries of changes. So that's what I'm taking it as. So shifting over to my team, the Lakers, we also have to deal with what we got going on. And I like what I heard from everybody. We're keeping our options open. Obviously, we don't have scandals and stuff like that to deal with, but we're keeping our options open. We understand that Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder now present a certain logjam type of atmosphere for the starting position, specifically at the point guard position. And as to where it was a foregone conclusion Russell was going to be our point guard, now we're looking at a situation where maybe it'll be more of a fluid situation. So all that to say, we still want to remove Russell Westbrook as our point guard and effectively bring somebody else in to do the job. I mean, it's just, I'm not going to pull punches. Obviously, the Lakers have to, but I'm not. Yeah, we want to move them. We want to move them now, but we'll wait if necessary. So that's what it is. That's not what they said, but that's what it is. For the meantime, though, the Lakers seem like they're optimistic that they got a good group they've put together. They got a team that they're going to say is going to work harder than everybody else. They're going to fight harder than everybody else. That's what Darvin Ham is about. They're going to give us a tough basketball team. He said Darvin Ham mentioned that AD has done a great job on his body and that we're going to be, I don't know what the word he used, but more or less very happy with what we see from Anthony Davis physically. He's made some changes in the positive light. So hopefully that translates to his numbers going to where they need to go and him getting back to being an all-star. Has he been an all-star last year? He might have been an all-star last year, but playing like the Anthony Davis we know he needs to be. So I like that. Obviously we picked up a couple new guys yesterday, Ryan and Bacon. So we're going to see if they can see what they can do for us, obviously. So, yeah, the Lakers are just getting started. Obviously Russell Westbrook is somebody that we're considering, but, the most important thing is making sure that LeBron James's minutes are monitored. They said they're going to monitor everything from practice to playing time to just about everything they can to ensure that they keep him fresh as possible, which means he's going to be missing some games. I wasn't happy about that because I had just drafted him in my fantasy team. At that exact moment, I'm like, yeah, I got the king. And they're like, we're going to shut his minutes down a little bit. It's like, what? But that's just to be expected in year 20. And at the end of the day, we don't care nothing about that. What we want to make sure is that he's fresh for June. So, I think I can harken back to something that KD said in his press conference, and I'm going to say that we need the same dynamic, that rotating door dynamic that KD referred to where he's used to having a young team that he could just kind of reincorporate himself back into and, keep the ball rolling. Whether he's there or not, they're still going. That's what he liked about certain other situations, and he felt like that's something that was a concern of his that the Nets, that he had to address verbally to them. I think that's exactly what the Lakers need and have in place, which is why I love what we got going on, because we do have so many young, talented players, even though we didn't get them in the lottery, found them in different places with our scouting department. And now we know that there are players on this team that we can call up, that we can rely upon to help us in different areas and developing the real good players. So rotating the door, if for some reason we lose some guys in injury, yes, it's a crisis for sure, but we can quickly segue into a developmental team with pieces that we really, really like and roster opportunities. So if for some reason we need to, if things go wrong with our season, we can still find ourselves doing things that help us get better. So that's really what it's about. Without a lot of picks, that's essentially what I've been saying the Nets need all offseason. I'm not surprised to hear him say that, because that's ultimately what it's about, is keeping fresh talent and good talent around great players, and you're not going to be able to do that with big contracts. So you got to have a reliable scouting department and ultimately a good farm system. And you got to get lucky sometimes. You got to really develop. So I think they've done an okay job of that, but they need to get a lot better at that fast. And they've skipped steps. You know, that was something that was mentioned in regards to last season because of players being out. You know, I think it was Kyrie that said they had skipped some steps, just out of the sheer nature of situations being as they were last year. But I think more so as a franchise, they may have skipped some steps, having made certain trades and stuff like that didn't allow them to have the picks to bring in the young talent and so on and so forth. I think that's really what it's about, is having no longer needing to do that for themselves. They need to get in gear and act like the Warriors, act like the Lakers, and get that young talent, flow going. So that's something that I wanted to harken back to, because that was definitely something that stood out from KD speaking. But it correlates with what we're talking about. We have that, and because of it, we'll be able to sit those guys. Anthony Davis will be able to sit if necessary. We got bigs that we can play that we love to use in their stead. So that's not ideal. We don't want that. That tanks our season. Don't get it twisted. But it's not like we're just going to be running veterans out there and it'll be nothing to it. No, we got young guys, and they can get a lot better with a lot of playing time. So, hey, that's what it's about, man. Having that. Now, I didn't mention much about the Phoenix situation. I only listened to a little bit of what Monty Williams was speaking about. I didn't listen to players and all of that. But Monty Williams spoke on the just his feelings of everything, and listening and reading the transcripts just really didn't sit well with him in regards to the N-word. It was a word that he felt should never be said by anybody. And I think he was the first person I ever heard say that word was not just an insult to black folks, but also an insult to humanity. It's the first time I've ever heard that. So I gave that a real pause, and I think I'll carry that with me. So, Chris Paul also saw a snippet from him. He essentially said, that he read the same thing as well. He didn't, it didn't sit right with him as well. Devin Booker said it was disturbing to him because that's not the Robert Sarver he knows. That's just simple as that. He said, I don't know that person. He respects that everybody's reacting to it the way that they are, but he's not really able to identify with what he's seeing there. And so all of that is just, those guys are really close to the situation. So I really don't know what to say. Robert Sarver's made Devin Booker so wealthy. You know what I mean? Obviously his talents made him wealthy, but the situation is as it is. It's his place. That's where he's home. That's where he's comfortable. So it is what it is. But I have a very difficult time believing the stars of the show didn't know what was going on. Now Chris Paul just got there, and things got cleaned up as soon as he got there. But I would say that it's a hard thing to be in Devin Booker's position and take any other position. It would probably be. So that's what I would say. But just to sum that situation up, I was listening to Mark Spears, and he said it seemed like a funeral. That's what it seemed like over there in Phoenix. Everybody's real somber. DeAndre Ayton's not too happy about his situation. He reported as well. The whole way they went about getting him re-signed didn't go well. So there's just a lot of sadness going on in Phoenix, it seems, and with the Jay Crowder situation also being in place, with him now being removed from the team, and of course with intent on a trade coming his way. It's just a lot of uncertainty. I made a video about Phoenix last night. You guys can go check that out. I just don't know what to think of what Phoenix has going on, and looking at the mood over there, I don't like how it's starting off for them or for Boston. The Nets, they look like they're doing all right. The Lakers, we look like we're doing okay. But those two teams with those scandals, this is bad. Looking at the Boston situation, I listened to the players, well, a couple of them. I listened to Jason Tatum. He gave the best he could. He gave it the best he could, but, it just is what it is. They're not telling these guys nothing over there. They're not telling them nothing. Jaylen Brown, he tried to answer questions as best he could. I thought they were as honest and as thoughtful as they possibly could be. Without receiving information, it's logical to conclude that it's hard to establish trust. Those guys couldn't lie that they don't have trust for the organization right now, because the organization's not giving them a whole lot to work with. It's sort of like, okay, organization's holding things from you, and then the organization proceeds to ask you to trust them. Like, what? You guys been lying to us the whole time. So it's like, I don't know, man. Nobody's talked to Emi Udoka. That's telling. So if you just look around the situation, that's how I tend to always do anyway. When you look around the situation, you could clearly see that there's lawsuits coming. I think that's everybody's acting like the lawsuit's coming. Everybody's acting like it's going to be big. Everybody's acting like it's going to be ugly. So if anything, I would just say the Boston Celtics have probably weighed everything they see, and this is probably the thing that gives them the less blowback on their throughout what it is they're looking at. I hope they're right, because they're taking a lot right now. And if I'm Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the only thing keeping me in Boston is each other. It's the team. I ain't gonna quit on my teammates in a time where everybody else, where the coach can quit on us. That's the only thing that would keep me in Boston right now, you guys. Because other than that, there are better situations for a guy like Jaylen Brown. He's mentioned something that was very key. He said, I'm in the best shape of my life right now. When you're an organization, you got a star player who's telling you he's in the best shape of his life, that means you're in the responsibility to give him the best opportunity to play the best basketball he can play. He's in his prime. This is a 26-year-old guy in his prime. This is inevitably going to be an all-star season for him if it ain't a injury season for him. It's one or the other. And you're trying to tell me that they're starting the season with this for him to answer questions about scandals, about stuff that he doesn't have any answers for? They could at least prepared him to answer questions about things that there were no answers for. They left him in a position to essentially say, well, I'm an employee, so it's going to come to work. And this is when it becomes a situation where, and see, my mind just starts going, it's like, okay, the agents right then and there, if I'm Jaylen Brown's representation, I'm like, yeah, no, my superstar player, he's not getting the type of cachet and respect that he should be getting from Boston. They're not telling him what he needs to know. They're not giving him the environment that is of peace. His price went up. That's what I'm saying. His price went up. His price went up. That's all I'm saying. And if y'all don't understand what that means if you guys don't make the better decisions, my contract is going to be elsewhere. I will be leaving you when my contract expires, or I will be demanding the hell up out of here. That's how I'm looking at it. And I'm not talking from Jaylen Brown's perspective. I'm talking about if I'm his agent. Like, nah, Jaylen, look, these people, nah. If you was in Clipperland, they would be bringing everything to you. If you was in Cleveland, they would have been bringing everything to you. None of this would be happening. They would be telling you what's going on, or they would at least prepare you somehow to answer questions that can't be answered. Hell, they wouldn't even send you out there. These are the type of things that I'm going to be trying to leverage if I'm his representation, which is a problem Boston probably already has that they haven't thought out, but it just comes with it. At the end of the day, when you choose to go personal, and this is what we said earlier in the video about this situation, when you choose to go personal, as Boston did, which means they wanted to punish one side of the fence while not holding the other side of the fence accountable for reasons that probably make sense. Protecting children, protecting families' privacy, it all makes sense. But you have to let something fall. It can't be your reputation as an organization. And that is exactly what they've allowed to take the brunt of the situation. No, because you're too short-sighted in thinking that people who are in position here, there, whatever part of your organization they're in, it's short-sighted to think that their replacements won't be taking the brunt of the decisions that you're making in the short term. You replace these guys and you're still going to be seen as an organization that may try to hide stuff, may be on the shady side of the game, may be choosing their personal circumstances over the overall business. That's not just with the coach and his choices, but also with the organization and how they're handling their choices and how they're, protecting themselves from whatever they're protecting themselves from, or just protecting people. It just doesn't work. The business is not the business unless it's making people money. That's how it protects people, by making people money. It can't protect them through the orders of the business as it pertains to when they make mistakes like this and covering it up. And, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You got to go by the letter of the law. The book keeps you honest, and that's what I always say. The book will keep you honest. As long as you go by the book, you don't never have to go through these legal issues. So I don't know, man. I'm looking at the Boston Celtics as a team that's probably on the verge of getting sued by in every direction. And it ain't just about the situation at hand. It's about how they handle it as well. Lawsuits will probably ensue because of this. And so that is something that they just have to deal with. It's a storm, man. It's a storm. And the last thing they are right now, unfortunately, is a basketball team. I hate to tell you guys this, but the Phoenix Suns and the Boston Celtics right now are businesses in crisis. They're not basketball team. They're basketball team second or even third right now. So that's why if I'm Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I'm assessing the group, brothers, everybody around me. Is this it? Are we splitting? Because that's what I'm saying. Because I don't know how many more seasons it is. I don't know. I can't trust them, like straight up, because they're handling in such a way that's not allowing us to understand what we need to know. Did he do this? Did he do that? Who is this? Who's that? Why are we hiding things? Let me at least know why you're hiding things. And it seems like Jaylen Brown specifically was expressing that he didn't have that information. Jason Tatum too. They didn't have it. And that's just unacceptable as superstars for their team. Not to say they're superstars in the league, but they're superstars for their team. You see what Donovan Mitchell's value was for the Utah Jazz, what he ended up going for, and Rudy Gobert, what they ended up going for. It's not about what they matter to the league as a whole. It's about what they matter to that franchise. Those are the guys they gave the max money to, and therefore, as max money guys, their cachet and the respect should be comparable to what other guys in the league are getting. That's the argument. That's going to always be the argument. Am I getting what they're getting? Am I treated in the same respect as that star over there that's getting the same amount of money as me, that's putting up as good a numbers as me or better? If not, then my representation has a gripe. So this is all bad, man. These are the type of problems that you run into when you don't follow the book, when you try covering people up, protecting this guy because that person's going to get hurt and that's my guy. And we want to keep our structure in order and we don't want him to go spiraling because of this situation. So we got to protect. It's like, it just doesn't work, man. The whole situation soured. It's soured. Once you see something like this get this bad, you got to say abort mission. Everybody here, nobody's safe as pertains to their jobs. Because at the end of the day, what it was that was keeping it together was the foundation of trust, and that's broken. So now everything else, what are they coming back to? So all of this happened too fast for the Boston Celtics to realize that their entire situation just disappeared right in front of them. But once you remove Ime Udoka from the situation, that's one thing. Once you start incorporating lies and secrets, that's an entirely different thing. You could cut it off right there at Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka did some bull crap, and that's it. But once you start saying Ime Udoka did some bull crap, but there's someone else here who did some bull crap, but we're not going to tell you who that is, it's like, oh, well, now you really blew up the situation. And that's what we've all learned here. So I hate to turn it back into that conversation, but that just sums it all the way up. That's it. The NBA is in a world of flux, and what I worry about is the mental state of the players that have to run around out there. A guy like Jaylen Brown says he's in the best shape of his life. I hope his mind is right. Hope he's getting sleep. You go out there and get injured because of this stupid type of thing. It's like, nah, man. Nah. I feel for these teams, and look, this is a learning experience for all of us. When you engage in corruption or engage in this type of stuff, this is what can happen. When you hide stuff and you handle things the way that these guys are handling, these are the things that come with that. You will ruin your environment. So, god dang, I feel like if I'm a player, I would be very upset at Ime Udoka in regards to, you threw all of this away for this situation, for that, that's what you threw all of this away for that, for this type of outcome. This is what you wanted. I don't know, man, because that's exactly what he should have seen coming. That's what I gotta say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.